So I want to talk about how I ended up living my dream, designing record covers. So as a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. And the odds of becoming an astronaut are 30,200,000 to 1. So the odds from a very swearing boy from the valleys was stacked against me, really. But what I did know, I knew I loved art. I absolutely adored art. But I never nearly did art. Got top marks in the first 2 years of GCSE. First 2 years of comprehensive, sorry. And, but then when it came to choose my GCSEs, the exam just before choosing my GCSEs for art, I did a really shit project for it. I thought it was shit. I got a C for it, but in a fit of self-flagellation, oh, I'm not worthy, I'm shit, you know, you're crap, you shouldn't do art. I ended up not taking art. So for A-levels, I moved schools. I moved from one valley to another valley, and did A-levels, and I took English, computers, and geography, but I just had this strong niggling feeling that I should be doing art. It's just a very, very strong feeling. So I talked to my fellow pupils in Cherokee Comp, asking about art in general and the art teachers, and one name sprung to mind, who was an incredible art teacher, they were saying, a guy called Adrian Owen, who's here today. This is him down in his bike shed up in Cherokee. And those chain rings have been around the world probably once and a half, I think, in terms of mileage, because he goes on his bike every day, does 30 to 100 miles every single day, in hail, snow, or whatever. So I met up with Adrian and said, look, I want to do art. And he said, well, look, come into the art block, sit down, we'll have a little chat. He set up a little kind of display, got me drawing some stuff. And do you know what? In an hour of just chatting to this one teacher, I felt so much kind of passion, energy, and I just felt really, really inspired, much more than the whole of the 3 months doing the other 3 subjects, just in that 1 hour. So then I knew my course was set, really. I was going to do art. What is about this teacher, he's probably going to cry, but anyway. He's inspired so many kids from Cherokee to go into creative industries. Artists, sculptors, animators, graphic designers, lighting designers, product designers, digital designers, set designers, teachers. The list is endless. He's totally inspired lots and lots of people to go on to great things. And just from a little school in Cherokee. So he actually taught me that drawing was 90% looking and 10% drawing. And I've actually used that. I use that in my branding now. So research is it's not 90%. It's more like 60%, 70% probably. And the rest is the design. But I use that in my work now. So the odds of injury from mowing the lawn are 3,623 to 1. This is another picture of Adrian. If you take a close look there, you can see some missing fingers. He had an accident with a lawnmower in his garden, and he's recently written a short story which is getting published. I haven't got that here, by the way, but he's accident prone, put it that way. So why graphic design? Why did I become a graphic designer? So I did a foundation course in Glamorgan Centre for Art. We were the first year at that foundation course. It was an absolutely incredible year. We had the run of the place, basically, 65 students, and I loved every single minute of it. It was by far the best college or uni year, really, by far. Loved every module: sculpture, ceramics, illustration, fine art, life drawing. But something really clicked with me, the graphics module. And again, I had a really great lecturer. I'm not sure if Rob's here today. I don't think he is. A guy called Rob Griffin, who wrote fantastic briefs, really inspired me, got me looking at books, got me sort of looking at graphic design, looking at D&AD books. And then that's when I sort of really started getting into graphic design. But I want to paint a picture of sort of before that, really. My influences were music, and I was lucky and I had an older brother who was really into obscure indie music. And at 10 years old for me, I was into the Sex Pistols, Bad Manners, The Clash, angelic upstarts, and I used to go to the church disco wearing a chain around my neck with a padlock, spiky hair. Here's me now, around about that age really, so I'm trying to paint a picture of what I was like. I was really into Joy Division as well, the Smiths, early R.E.M., Psychedelic Furs, and The Cure. And kind of everybody else in my class thought I was the weird kid, really, so there we are. I kept 5 owls and an aviary in my garden, 4 tawny owls and a little owl. That one's called Oscar. He's a lovely owl. Hi, miss him. And I was very terrified of nuclear war. I was into nuclear disarmament. And got a rather fetching St. Christopher on the neck there as well. So I'm trying to paint a picture of what I was like, really, just a weirdo, to be honest. But 2 designers were really rapidly becoming my design heroes, and that's from looking at Joy Division covers, New Order record covers, covers by the Pixies. So I started to sort of really appreciate the skill and the work that went into these. And those designers were Vaughan Oliver and another guy called Peter Saville. And I can pinpoint 2 sleeves that totally revolutionized my life and made me want to become a graphic designer, and actually planted the seed and wanted to become a record cover designer. The first one, one on the left is Technique by New Order. One on the right is Pixies. So at that stage, I was sort of formulating a love of record sleeve design and record covers and a love of music. So I kind of thought maybe that might be something cool to go into. So I did a degree in Bar Spa. For my final year project, I set myself my own project to redesign Orbital's first album. I was really into dance music at the time. And I designed a typeface for it and reshot every single track in the studio using mad sort of setups and lights. And that project really enabled me to further myself later on, which I'll speak about now. I locked myself away while I was in uni as well in the photography studio. We did photography as a module, but I managed to book out loads of time. I actually spent 3 months in the photography studio, so just in the summer, I just sat in my pants taking photographs. You didn't have to sit in your pants, but it was boiling in there. Just learned studio photography, just doing lighting setups. I remember walking into college one day, found a dead squirrel. Oh, I'll fucking have that. In a bag, in the studio, medium format camera looking down, and I just realized then it's just absolutely covered in fleas, so I was covered in fleas. And it was good though. But what I was trying to do, I think at that time, I was trying to emulate my photography hero, which is a guy called Trevor Key, who did the stuff for New Order. Just absolutely adored that stuff. So I did my degree, put my degree show up, and then you have a comments book in your degree show, and somebody from Faber and Faber came up and wrote a comment in there. We love your work, come down, give us a ring, come down and have an interview. So it was, I think it was about a week later, so I managed to just rip my stuff off the show, stick it in one of those massive folders, which I tell all my students you should never do, but I did it. Rocked up, went down to London, and John McConnell, who was one of the heads of Pentagram, he went to Faber and Faber, absolutely iconic designer. So I was just, again, shit to myself, but thinking, well, what an amazing experience. But basically, it was one of the most horrific experiences of my life, because I went up into this big boardroom table, and he sort of opened it. He went, "Oh, all right, down from Wales, are you?" Yes. And the clips opened. He just kept on sliding these sheets. So my portfolio was just sliding down this boardroom table, and one of them fell off the end of the table. And he just just really belittled me, to be honest, and didn't make it a pleasurable experience. So I left the interview dejected, very dejected. Went next door, drank 4 pints of Stella, as you do, and got the train home, but always vowing to be positive with my time with any students that I was involved with in the future. Also had an interview with a design agency in Bath, really good design agency, I won't name them, but they said, "Yeah, I really love your work, but your accent's a bit strong, isn't it?" So I didn't get the job, but I vowed to keep my fucking accent as strong as possible from then on. So I ended up working in a Christmas tree factory in Treorchy, which stapling cones on the end of Christmas tree branches. Did that for 3 months. There weren't very many jobs around at the time. Gave me lots of time to think. I actually worked with a guy called Raymond, who turned to me one day and said, "See these high-power staple guns, reckon they hurt, bud?" And I went, "Oh, I don't know, I don't want to know." And as I turned around, he shot me in the head with it. So They're the kind of people you're working with there. So I finally got a job as a Mac operator in a company called Label Image. It was still one of my most favorite jobs. Met some lovely people, two of which are here today. One of them is my business partner, actually. And there I managed to just learn the Mac, learn about print. So I did that for a year. So after about 15 months actually working there, I saw an advert for an art director in the back of Design Week. So whether that was by chance or by luck, I just happened to pick up that magazine there and then. I saw it, so I thought, right. Rang them up. They said, yeah, send down application form. So I sent it down, and they said, yeah, as part of the interview process, we'd like you to redesign the new Excel logo. I did that. I packaged up this big fat tube, this corrugated tube of posters and prints from uni, and I was doing a lot of sort of music flyers and stuff like that at the time. And I found out afterwards that I beat about 200 applicants for that job. But what stood out was the tube. It just stood out from all the other portfolios and got me in there, as well as the logo. It looks a bit dated now, but the idea behind that is a needle arm of a record on a record. So Excel at the time were a dance label. I didn't really know that much about them. I knew they had Prodigy on there. I didn't know much about Prodigy either, to be fair. It was pre-internet, and now you just Google stuff, don't you, in 10 seconds, and you know it all. But I remember like Charlie and tracks like Charlie being in the charts. But my first job for Prodigy was designing the new Prodigy logo. I was actually looking the other day, and there are websites out there with thousands of people with this logo tattooed on them. And that's just the freakiest thing, when you see a logo tattooed on people, you know? But what a brilliant experience. And what I didn't realize when I went to this Excel recordings, I knew it was part of Beggar's Banquet, which is another record label. But what I didn't know, it was part of 4AD as well. Sister companies. And who worked at 4AD? Vaughan Oliver. My guy designed the Pixies. So I remember probably the second day in, I was very nervous. All right, bud. Making some tea in reception area, and in walks this Geordie giant. And I was like, fucking hell, it's Vaughan Oliver. All right, Vaughan, boy. And we became really good mates, actually, and it was just had many, many meetings over lots and lots of beers next door on the Slug and Lettuce. And he was a huge, huge influence on me. So at that time then, I heard snippets of this album coming in, and there was one track the guys in the office were playing, blew me away. And this is it. This is Firestarter. So got the brief to design this record cover, and there's so much chance involved with this sleeve. It's unbelievable, really. It's kind of the tiger skin background, that was actually a black and white zebra skin skirt that one of the other designers was wearing. So I said, can I borrow that? Scanned it in and gave it the tiger effect. The little frame was, I just walked past a local sandwich shop and I saw the little frame in there. I thought that'll look cool. The granny we got from a model agency called Ugly. She wasn't that ugly, she was quite a sweet granny. But so we got her in the studio and we dressed her up, gave her a bottle of whiskey with some tea in it, and put a rag in it and set fire to it. And she's just spent most of the shoot like that. Expecting it to be blown up, I expect. Ironically, she was also the incredibly tall granny on Chris Evans' TFI Friday. So, started working on that, did that, that went to #1, which when you want to design record sleeves and that's your dream, you sort of sat there in the office thinking, I know I'm being paid 14 grand and I'm skint, but this is fucking brilliant. This is incredible. Ended up working on the Fat the Land album, so that cover, which, by the way, it's a crab. It's meant to be something that's come off the beach, enjoying the spoils of the land. I'm post-rationalising it now. It's got 2 fingers up to the world. It's colourful, dynamic, all that bollocks. But that was nearly never the cover. This was going to be the cover, which is a kebab. I mean, at the time, I was 23, 24. Getting pissed a lot, eating lots of kebabs, really. And I thought, well, what would sum up the Fat of the Land? A kebab. So we got a model company called Pirate. We shipped up an actual kebab, and I went up to see the branding being actually branded into this kebab, and there's this poor bloke in a little room with a mask on, just looking really sick with a blowtorch and a piece of metal burning in the type. And then we booked an actual kebab shop on Holloway Road. We closed it down for 8 hours, brought in the kebab, got it rotating on the spit. But actually, as the shoot went on, the kebab started congealing and the type started moving, so we were like, fuck, right, so we're sticking bits of stick in, bits of metal, and in the end, we got the shot we wanted. There's the contact sheet for it, actually, from the shoot. But at the end of the shoot, Stavros, and that actually was his name, he came out, he went, oh, I finished, have you? And some weird accent, I don't know what that was. And started taking bits of metal out, took all the wood out, wrapped it in cellophane, in the freezer. So there's loads of people in North London have eaten rock and roll history. So Liam Howlett changed his mind 3 weeks before sending off this artwork. And the artwork to the American licensees, actually, they needed it in sort of 3 weeks' time. So I was like, right, what am I going to do now? So I remember seeing, just by chance, actually, a documentary on Christmas Island where once a year, all these millions of crabs come out and walk everywhere. I thought, oh, that could be a brilliant cover. So looked on a stock library, this really obscure stock library. Then stock library images were in books, not like the internet. You look through a book and went, oh, I love that one, and they ring you up, hello, I love number 2.2222, please. And then you order it and they send you a transparency, and then you send the transparency off somewhere else, that gets scanned, and then you get your scan back. What a ball's ache. I remember organising the crab image and speaking to this woman in this obscure little photo library and saying, yeah, but it's for a band called Prodigy. He said, oh, Prodigy? I don't know what accent that was either, but... And we got it for 1,500 quid for worldwide rights. There's the crab image there with a blur effect. There's the packaging. So this crab image was used on everything. Buses, billboards, posters, it was absolutely everywhere. And I just remember when I just felt probably at my most proud when I was driving through Putney in my Fiat Uno and driving into work, and then this bus pulls out. I remember thinking, fucking hell. And you're looking at this thing going, oh my God. So I ended up just following it through central London, got lost in central London, thinking, like, where the hell am I? But, because when you're a designer, you look at things on little screens, don't you? You don't actually realize how big that's going to be. And it was just mind-blowing to see that in real life at that size. What a lot of people don't realize, actually, the imagery in the background of the trucks and the textured imagery was actually photographed in Rydfelyn, near Pontypridd. By chance, I'd happened to have a camera, saw a scrapyard, went in there. At that time, though, so pre-Instagram, I was taking hundreds of photographs, well, thousands actually, of textures, found graphics, bits of floor, signs on walls, that sort of stuff. Everything you see on Instagram now, actually. And we used that through the album. We did they did an album launch, so I designed Prodigy beer. They flew us by helicopter to Oxford. And there was this big barn there with massive speakers in there, and Radio 1 were there, and all these kind of record industry knobs. And so we all this sort of I'm sipping Prodigy beer I designed in the Prodigy playback, thinking, this is brilliant. You know, this is really brilliant. So I'm just honoured to have done it, really. And then 2 years ago, I got a call from Ben, who's one of my best mates. He's the MD of Excel. He said, do you want another go at the Prodigy album? I was like, what? And they were re-releasing it as the 15th anniversary. So it's just mental, actually, to look at that artwork again, pull it up on screen, and just to be working on the same artwork again from kind of 15 years ago. So I phoned Liam Howlett up from the band and said, he said, have you got any ideas? I said, yeah, why don't we do a crab rave? And he really liked that. And he said, so why don't we just do something crap, just like holding a sign up, quite camp? I said, yeah, cool. So that's what we did. So they're the two covers for that. I want to talk about this illustration as well. So when I first designed this album, I remember just sat there one night in work, quite bored, actually, well, quite tired and semi-pissed. I thought, right, what can I do to sort of liven my life up? I looked at this illustration, I thought, I know, I'm going to draw on this illustration and draw something in the background. So what I did, I've circled it there. I drew A and K. That's Alex and Karen. That's my girlfriend at the time. She's now my wife. Ah. So that was printed on 6-7 million albums. And when I redid it again, in the meantime, I'd had my little boy, William. So I redid it and wrote A and K and Will on there. So that's printed on another 1 million albums, I think. And I actually forgot my anniversary a few years ago. And I just picked up the Prodigy CD, this one. Don't go there, love. 8 million times I've told you I love you. So this cover would never have happened. This is a mix album by Liam from Prodigy. We travelling around Ireland, me and my wife, and just saw loads of old petrol pumps outside post offices. So I just started documenting them. Came back and I thought that would make a great record cover. The idea with this was, this was number 1. We were going to circle number 2 for the next one and so on. So we do a series of them. This is a promotional sampler for XL, and this would never have happened if I hadn't gone down to the Arndale Centre in Wandsworth, which is one of the most depressing places in the world, trying to find some cheap food, really, just a cheap sandwich. So I remember walking into Quick Save. I was walking down the aisle, just saw this piece of vacuum-sealed salami. And I just want to talk about chance and opportunity, because you've got to be able to see these things, haven't you? You get given that opportunity, but you've got to be able to see them. So I just saw the sort of potential in that. Went back to the record company. I said, yeah, that'd be a brilliant idea. So we ended up doing, I think it was 2,000 of these as promotional samplers. This is for Breakbeat Era. This would never have happened if I hadn't passed a skip in Ealing, the cover for this. By absolute chance, I remember just walking past a skip and just seeing this piece of Japanese packaging. I thought, oh my God, what's that? So lifted it out. Awesome. Took it into work. Scanned it in and started messing about with it. And then that was the kind of the top cover there, which is Breakbeat Era. About 2 weeks later then, I went back to the same skip, and I was actually rummaging through the skip. And the owner came out, and he said, oh, what are you doing? I said, no, I'm not nicking anything. Well, I am, but I'm after some packaging. He said, hey, come in here. So we went into his little garage, went into this storeroom in the back. There's just loads of this Japanese car parts packaging and loads of wonderful packaging. So he said, fill your boots. So I did. So I came up with 2 black bags. A lot of that's still in the attic, but that totally informed this whole range of sleeves, which is one of my favorite pieces I've ever done, I think. So there's some posters for that. This is the album. And that's the packaging for it, so. So the streets, and I worked on the streets. That would never have happened if Nick Worthington hadn't left XL and set up his own label called 679 on Warner's. And he wouldn't have had the streets had not Mike Skinner, this young kid, sent him a demo tape. And most A&R men don't listen to demo tapes. He just happened to listen to this demo tape. I thought it was absolutely awesome. So met up with Mike Skinner, gave us a ring out of the blue, said, come and meet this kid. He's really talented. Went to meet him. We actually sat down, and Mike and I in a pub in Victoria, and he brought his mate Calvin along, and he was drinking brandy and port at the time. So he said, brandy and port? I was like, yeah, sounds wicked. So we were drinking brandy and ports, and so I was just trying to get under his skin, really, trying to find out what he was about. So after about the 8th brandy and port, I said, so what are you into? He said, oh, I smoke loads of dope. And obviously make great music. I smoke loads of dope, and I play on my PlayStation, and he brought out this clipper lighter. And I saw the clipper lighter, and it just instantly said, that's the logo. Why, I don't know. It's just by chance he got that out, and it's just by chance we're speaking about it. So that's the first album, and street posters, they're the singles. Actually made those lighters using Electroset, got some Electroset made, and just made these hand-made lighters, took them into Soho, and did the sleeves. And then Warner suggested they actually make a couple of 100,000 of them and give them out in festivals, the actual lighters with the logo on. So that's what they ended up doing there. And the example stuff would never have happened if somebody at Ministry of Sound hadn't picked up the Streets album, said they liked it, took it to show Elliot Gleave, who's an example, and said, what about this? So I had a call from Ministry of Sound to come and meet Elliot. I went to meet him down in Soho House. We chatted about this idea for his album, The Evolution of Man. And I'd seen a website called Back to the Future. Have you seen that? Where you take images of when you're a kid and you go back and you recreate them. I thought, well, what a wonderful idea. So I kind of turned it on his head a bit. I managed to get some of his Instagram imagery and some of his photographs of him as a kid. Then we put them together in a series of sleeves leading up to the album, The Evolution of Man. And that kid on there would never have happened. I was really in the corner trying to come up with, trying to find somebody to photograph actually for the cover. And that's my friend Lizzie's son, Gabriel. Lives 2 streets down. Phoned her up, I said, can I borrow Gabe for an hour? She said, yeah, fine. So we went next door to my house, and there's a pond there next door to my house. And that's Gabriel with his arms up in the pond next door to my house, and that became the album cover. And actually, speaking to example, I said, look, when you're on stage, why don't you just photograph every gig you're at? So I think that one was V Festival, the background. So that's trying to say, the story was trying to say, you know, it's as a kid wanting to be a pop star, which he ended up being. So in conclusion to that, how did I end up living my dream? I think, for starters, you've got to have a dream. I lived a dream, no. You've got to have a long-standing passion for something I did have from a young, weird kid. I think it's hard work, I think it's talent, it's risk. I think it's believing in yourself, it's never giving up. It's good teachers, it's good lecturers, it's good mentors as well. It's getting guidance and advice, but seeing your opportunities and actually taking them as well. And there's a bit of luck involved. So I want to fast forward now, basically, a few more slides to run through. I had, 2 years ago, I had a serious case of burnout. So basically, went into work one day, went to switch my computer on, meant to give a lecture in half an hour's time, and just thought, I can't do this. So closed my Mac, put it back in my bag, went up to my boss, said, I'm going home. And went home, he said, well, you know, what's wrong? I said, I don't know, just going home. So the next day, I was driving into work, and I thought, no, I can't do this. Just can't do it, physically can't do it. So I phoned him up, he said, look, just pull over. So I pulled over in the services, about a mile away from my house in Bridgend, and we just had an hour's conversation. I want to thank him, a guy called Mark Jackson, who was a fantastic boss and a fantastic friend, and extremely understanding, actually. So he said, yeah, just take some time off. But what happened was, I realized now, just been working 18-hour days, you know, lecturing, wanting to be the best lecturer possible, taking photographs, wanted to be the best photographer, designing stuff, wanted to be the best designer, had a little boy, wanted to be the best dad, comparing myself to other dads, oh, am I as good as him? Am I as good as him? Just being a perfectionist, and it's just unattainable. Basically, my mind and my whole body just shut down, just said, fuck this, end of sports bio, that's the end of it. It took a long while to recover. It took about 6 months to get back on my feet. But it's been a blessing, actually, because it's made me realize that I should be doing the things I love, working on projects I love with people I like. So that is my ethos. And that's what I've been doing, really, for the last year and a half, 2 years. As I'm happier, consequently, I seem to be attracting more chance. Chance seems to be arriving. I'm not chasing money. I'm doing the things I love. Money's arriving. But I'm just more content in what I'm doing. I'm actually happier now than I've ever been in terms of the work I'm working on. So I'm just going to show a couple of slides with a couple of examples on how I got better, how I changed my working practices, and maybe some tips on encouraging chance and opportunity. So yeah, be open to chance and opportunity. That's what I spoke about earlier on. You've got to be able to see opportunity. Opportunity is all around us. It's everywhere. You might be sitting next to somebody now who you'll be speaking to later on. You might have a great relationship, or you have some working practices you can work on together. That's chance and opportunity. There's no better opportunity than now, today. I think with the internet as well, you can quite quickly create a brand, get it online. Within 2 weeks, you know, you can be up and running. Massive amounts and potential for opportunity today, I think. Chance, actually, you could change 2 words or 2 letters in chance to create choice. A friend of mine, Georgina Jones, who runs Turn Lights On, she is a big advocate of choice. You make your own choices in life. And actually, when you think about it, if you're in a shit relationship, some people just stay in shit relationships. When you're in a shit job, some people just stay in shit jobs. Actually, you've got a choice. You can change that. Obviously, you can work to make yourself have a better relationship, of course, and I'd advise doing that. I won't just say fuck off and, you know, go. But you've got a choice. You've got a choice to wake up. You know, I had a terrible day yesterday, but I got up today and said, I'm having a good day today. You can choose to be like that. It's a choice. It's a choice thing. You can choose to do whatever you want to do. And I think when you realize that, which has been really powerful for me, It makes you take responsibility for your life. Twitter. I'm going to mention Paula Morris now. Basically, Twitter is such a fantastic tool. I find it just such an amazing tool. Contacted loads of people here today, be chatting to them. Paula got in touch with me in the week. Never met Paula before. And she said, yeah, my friend's got a band. Do you want to do a record sleeve? I said, yeah, brilliant. Tell you what, when you come to the talk today? So Paula's here at the talk today. We just met through Twitter. And now we're going to meet next week and maybe talk about how I can work with her on her new brand, PM Marketing, and how we can work together. But Twitter, what a fantastic tool. I think that is. It's brilliant. Try to live in the moment. Try to live in the moment means just trying to live today, because yesterday's gone. It's gone. Ta-da. All the best. It's today. That's all you've got is today. Obviously, you've got tomorrow and the following day. But today, you can do whatever you want to do, can't you? It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. And that's when you start realizing that. I try. I mean, I don't live in the moment every day, of course. It's impossible. But I try to live in the moment, and that's today. Listen to people. Be nice to people. Be kind. Be thoughtful. And also be grateful for where you are, for what you've done, and for your family and your friends. When you start thinking that way, you start living a happier life. Work hard, but work smarter. What I did for me, when I changed my working practices, you have some days you think, fuck, I've got to take the dog to the vet, I've got to do the dishes, I've got to go in, I've got to do some branding things, I've got a meeting with Paul at 2 p.m, I've got to go down there, and then I've got to drive back there, I've got to go pick kids up, and some days you think, oh my God, your heart's racing, you think, I'm going to die here, I'm never going to fit it all in. My life's mental, I'm gone mad. But what I actually did is just like simple things when I was recovering and becoming better. I think, I've got to do the dishes. So I just set my iPhone and time myself doing the dishes. It takes 10 minutes. But I thought it took 6 hours in my head. Oh, it's like, it's going to take ages, man. And things like, sitting down to do branding ideas. So you've got 3 branding projects on in the same week. Sometimes that's really terrifying because you're just trying to create space so your head can work, and come up with concepts. But literally, what I do now, I just sit down for 2 hours, work on one branding concept, have a break, go on my bike, go and have a pint, whatever it is. Then come back, do it for another 2 hours on maybe another project. But compartmentalize each of those bits and time them. It does work. Meditate. So I learned to transcendental meditation. If you look at the pictures of the Beatles in the 60s, they sat there with a big Indian bloke with long hair and a long beard. He's called the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, try saying that a few times in a row, he taught the guy who taught me TM. And meditation, whether it's mindfulness, you've probably all heard about mindfulness. I mean, Ruby Wax has given talks on mindfulness, and in 8 weeks of mindfulness meditation, your brain starts repairing itself, reduces cortisol, reduces adrenaline, all that bad shit that's going on in your body that's killing you. What TM does for me, it actually just allows me to have 20 minutes on my own in the morning and 20 minutes on my own in the evening, away from phones, away from the world. And it's just a really relaxing thing. Act quickly, be decisive, but also be patient. We've been working on a few startups this year. I'm not going to talk about them now, but startups are exhilarating, they're exciting, but equally they're depressing, it's like bog snorkeling, it's all in the same hour. I think if I could describe a startup for you really, it's like you've got a series of hills getting larger and larger in the distance. You've got this big boulder covered in mud and moss, and it's a bit wet. But your job is to get that boulder up that hill, up the top, then down the next hill. And you get up some days, you get that boulder up, halfway up, and you think, you feel really good about yourself. Get up in the morning, the boulder's back down there again. But actually, you keep on pushing, you get that boulder up the top, and it's such an exhilarating feeling when you have a win. When you do, your business starts coming together, and then it rolls down the other side, and the boulder starts getting a bit cleaner. So the next hill is a little bit easier. But that's what it's like. It's like a constant big old nasty-ass boulder pushing contest. But it's so rewarding, and hopefully, we've had some good news and some bad news this week. And somebody, talking about patience, is somebody we've been courting to come and work in one of our companies for 9 months, has finally signed up. So she's joining us in January. So You've got to act quickly, be decisive, but also be patient. Do the things you love and follow your passions. So I decided 4 years ago I wanted to just do more photography. So I bought a camera. Anti's spoken about photography. You should look at Anti's talk. It's fantastic. In fact, look at all the Creative Morning talks. They're really good. I mean, I had a background in photography. I hadn't really classed myself as a photographer. I'd used imagery and art-directed photo shoots, art-directed ranking for the Basement Jaxx cover and people like that. So I've used imagery. So I thought, well, I'm going to start making my own imagery. So that's what I did. So for a year, just started taking photographs of things, people, bought some lights in the house and started doing still lives. And then just took on my first commercial job when I felt confident in doing it. And then I've slowly built that up from there. So talking about chance and opportunity, I had a text just before Britain's Got Talent a few months ago. And it's from a student, Andrew Powell, who I haven't seen for probably 10 years. He said, hey, watch Britain's Got Talent. My girlfriend's son is on there. He's in a band called Bars and Melody. They're those little young rappers who were singing about bullying. So I texted him back. I said, hey, after the Britain's Got Talent, sorry. Texted him back and said, mate, that's awesome. Yeah, tell you what, next time they're up in Wales, I'll do some photographs for you if you want. So he said, yeah, cool. So that's what I did. So I'm photographing their calendar at the moment. But I think it's sort of, you know, where I'm getting to now with my photography, I've got a confidence in it now, and I'm managing to control light. So I actually feel like a photographer now. It took a while to get there, but I do now. Again, chance and opportunity. This is a student I lectured in the third year in fashion in Newport. She's a mature student. Her name is Antonella Comateo. This is the brand that I work with her in the third year, actually, for her final major project. But she met an alpaca farmer called Wade Geese and ended up moving to Wisconsin straight after uni. So she set up a brand called Alpaca Couture. So she gave us a call and said, can you work on the branding with that? So I did that. And then she set up another label called Comateo von Gießen. So what I ended up doing, designed the branding for that, and then doing a photo shoot up in the Brecon Beacons with 2 models. So I'm actually just doing the things I love, really. Finally doing the things I love and getting paid for it, which is good. Been shooting some cool handbags for Brit Stitch. Been shooting some shoes, and I'm designing a lookbook for a company called Veras, the Spanish shoe company, and I'm actually being paid in shoes. It's kind of nice being paid in shoes. That's right. And you also get, you know, in what I'm doing now, you get to go and sit with your mates in the design studio and photograph them. Nothing wrong with that, you know. Sorry, Mike, it's not your design studio. So again, believe in yourself. Don't be too afraid of risk. What's the worst that can happen? If you think about that, what is the worst that can happen? If you want to go to the States and do something, you could go there for a couple of months. If it doesn't work out, come back, get another job. If you hate your job at the moment, resign, go and do something else. What is the worst that can happen? You could maybe end up living with your parents. That's not too bad, I suppose. I want to give an example of what's the worst that could happen. Claire Andrews, she was another mature student in the third year at Newport. Very well-paid job. She said, I'm bored with this. Jacked it in, went to uni to study fashion. When she left uni, I designed the branding for her. She set up a couture label. And now that's been stocked all around the country. She's in a boutique a few doors down from Victoria Beckham's boutique in Mayfair. So it's a brilliant story, you know. She was really struggling through uni. She didn't have any money. Had to pay the mortgage, her kids. But she followed her dreams and followed her passions. Don't wait for opportunity to come knocking. Put yourself out there. 51.3. This is Mike Jordan's Netwell part of it. He's looking over here. Basically, I got in touch with Mike, and he'd set up, with some other companies, a networking event for under 35s in Cardiff. So I said, hey, Mike, you know, I don't mind coming along. I'll come along and be a sponsor. So I don't really like networking events, to be honest. I find them a little bit cringeworthy. I don't particularly like going in there and saying, you know, how are you? handing over business cards and all that kind of stuff. I just find it a bit odd, a bit weird. But actually, the more I've gone, you just meet cool people. And I met a bunch of really cool people, including Amy Bateman. So I've just done Amy Bateman's branding for CareerKick.com and CareerKick TV. Rebranded a YouTube channel. And the idea with that is narrow, so it's careers progression. So done a few photo shoots with Amy and created this cutout arrow, which she sort of interacts with. She's not hard to photograph, Amy, to be honest. She's going to kill me for saying that. If you have a great idea, do it. This is my friend Melanie. She's basically a master artisan baker. That's all you can describe her as, which is a pretty good title, actually. But she creates and bakes amazing cakes. And that rhymed as well, by luck. And she decided 2 years ago, she saw a gap in the market, really, for mailing out Barra Brith cakes. So she got into contact with me, designed the branding for packaging. There's the branding there. Done a load of photography. There's Joe and her family in the audience, Joe Littlefoot. And she's now mailing her cakes all around the UK from her home in Llanfair Major. So if you've got a good idea, do it. So what's really important I learned as well, take out time for yourself, but also take out time for your family. It's my little boy, William. Every Thursday since he's been born, I take off a Thursday without fail. And that's Dad's day. That's our day together. I bought a camper van and we go off on adventures in the camper van over to West Wales and stuff like that. So it's really important to spend time for yourself as well and with your family. Get on your bike. Mo Saeed is here. He's the guy at the back there. Hello, Mo. We went on a charity cycle ride in the summer through Amsterdam and Belgium. There's 50 of us. That's Luca down the bottom there. That's Mo's son. Luca's 5 years old. He lost his legs to meningitis. He's covered in scarring over his entire body. So what an amazing cause to go cycling. To be honest, Mo and I, on the first day of cycling, we got lost from the pack. And we ended up doing 30 miles extra. So we did, was it 100 miles the first day? 110 miles the first day. When you do these things, for charity, with a group of people I'd never met, actually. I'd never met Mo. We started training together. Now we're best mates and met a load of people. And loads of chance and opportunity has come from that. We were actually cycling around this one town, would you say, in Amsterdam. And it was like a Scooby-Doo cartoon. So we were cycling around going, no, I think it's that way. No, follow me, follow me. We did about 10 miles, came back to exactly where we were. So when there's wind blowing in your face and you've got an extra 40, 50 miles to do, it's an awful thing. But we managed to do it. It was brilliant. We managed to raise, with this and a few other events, £45,000 for Luca and St. David's Hospice. But I highly advise, if you could do it, go on a bike ride, do something like that. It's just a great way to meet people and to create opportunity. Don't burn your bridges and make an effort to keep in touch. Now, there's a guy here called Adu who's come to the talk today. And we work together in Label Image, my first company I worked for, the label printing company. And we've kept in touch sporadically over the years. And Adu got in touch 2 years ago. He's working for a new company, rebranding Hurst House, which Neil Morrissey owned in Larne, which is a £50 million development, I think, there or thereabouts. So we worked together, we wrote the brief, came up with the brand guide, the brand values, the tone of voice, the strategy, and designed the branding for it. It's a beautiful project, and I went up there and shot all the food as well. And shot the interiors and the staff. So it's a full project, designed the branding, did everything for it. And do you know what? When I saw that Coram Resort and Spa sign in slate on that wall, that for me was equally as amazing and powerful as seeing that Prodigy bus, because I'm just enjoying what I'm doing now. This as well, this is just a pure chance meeting. This is a friend I used to work with, a guy I used to work with in Excel. Bumped into him in a friend's party in the summer. He happened to be on MasterChef actually a few years ago. He was one of the contestants on MasterChef. He said, yeah, I've got a really good idea for this range of sauces called Generous Condiments. So we got chatting for about an hour and a half actually. So I've just recently been working on the packaging with him. We're launching a range of products. So stay in touch with people. don't burn your bridges. Okay, if you can, teach. I don't mean go and become a teacher. I mean give up some of your spare time, do things like this today. Maybe go into universities, give up your time to speak to students, maybe even volunteer. And I want to talk a little bit further now about my art teacher. Basically, Adrian I spoke about earlier, 5 years ago, he was found unconscious in the art block with blood streaming from his head. And by chance, what happened, one of the students' sculptures had fallen off the wall, hit him on the head, and he had a serious brain injury. So he had to retire from teaching. This teacher has inspired so many kids, inspired me. It's the reason I'm here is because of him, really. So, as part of this brain injury shenanigans, I hope he doesn't mind me talking about this, but he totally lost everything. He couldn't paint, he couldn't see colour, so that went. He was speaking gibberish constantly, couldn't speak, couldn't talk properly. One stage, two of his friends found him up on top of Chalky Mountain in the snow in his pants. It's all part of brain not working properly. He took his wife's clothes, Jen, who was here today, took her clothes down to all the charity shops in Chalky. Thought he'd have a clear up. But this is all part of his brain not working. I was chatting to him a few weeks ago, and his recovery and how he started getting better, one of his mates were part of it. One of his mates dragged him down to start singing. So he started singing for Treorchy Male Voice Choir. And he told this wonderful story that he's across in Sydney Opera House. People are paying £40 a ticket. And previously, just, he's had a brain injury. And he's there singing in Sydney Opera House. Never thought that would ever happen to him, If this chance brain injury hadn't happened. He's going back on his feet. Loves singing now. But he told me a story as well that actually he got lost in the bowels of Sydney Opera House. They had to come down. He was phoning people, "Where am I?" So they got him up there. But what I want to talk about is basically nobody said thanks to Adrian for all those years of teaching. So what I did about 2 years ago now, it took about a year and a half to put together. I got together 20 or 30 ex-students, created a Facebook group, a secret one. And the brief was to send an image, send a poem, send an anecdote, to produce a piece of art, produce a piece of sculpture, whatever you want to produce. And that book was going to be a thank you for Adrian. So it took a year and a half to put together. I designed it. There's the cover there, Live Aid. I'm going to get sued for this now. I'm sure I'm on a telly. And Jen helped me organize what he thought was a presentation of my new book. So we got about 60 people, ex-students, staff members, to a pub called the Bryn Ffynnon in Llanwino. So Adrian walks in, there's all these people there, still didn't twig and anything was happening. I had this book wrapped in brown paper with proof written on it. So I got up to speak as if to say, welcome everybody, thanks for coming to my book launch. I said, yeah, thanks for my book launch. I'd like to ask somebody who's really inspired me to open the book. Could you step up, Adrian Owen? So up walks Adrian. Opens the book and just burst out crying and just was so overwhelmed by the whole thing. He just sat in a chair, kind of crying his eyes out, as were we all the students. So I ended up reading passages from the book. So what I want to talk about with this really is if you can teach, but also just remember the people who inspired you. And it could be a teacher, it could be a lecturer, it could be somebody who's giving you some advice, it could be a mentor, it could even be your wife, it could be your partner. And what I want to do now is embarrass Adrian and embarrass us all. If you just spend a few moments thinking of that one person, everybody got that person in their head who might have inspired you, said a choice words or good words. Let's give them a clap.